Congratulations! You finally made it through the extremely long wait time to get your TD Ameritrade account open. Yay! Was it worth the wait? Hey, free trades, right? So you're ready to roll, you logged in, and maybe you downloaded the Thinkorswim platform, and then suddenly like bam! You're hit with so much data, and it looks as if it was designed by somebody with attention deficit disorder. And moving to any new broker, there's always a little bit of a teething phase. And I think TD Ameritrade or Thinkorswim can be a little bit more intimidating, especially if it's your first broker or you're really new to this. But take it easy, today's video is designed for those of you who just got a new account open and want to get a basic setup right. I'll start with transferring money in and then walk you through the Thinkorswim desktop portal, teaching you how to understand some of the key terms in account information, and then I'll walk you through how to create a watch list, alerts, setting up basic charts, and finally, your very first trade. Hey guys, it's Sunmin and welcome back to Your Money Game, the show where we'll save, invest, and feel better about money. So let's begin with the basics of account funding. And the first one is for those of you who might be porting over an account from a US-based broker. My recommendation is going through the automated client account transfer program, or what they call the ACAT transfer. This is really an amazing process that really at a click of a button moves your entire portfolio as well as cash from the US-based broker into TD Ameritrade. I've tried this personally before with another broker and I think it's fantastic. If you happen to be living in Singapore like I am, the best way to transfer money into TD Ameritrade is to use the DBS or POSB function. It's fast and free and it takes roughly about 2 days to get your money in. The drawback is that you can only move Sing dollars this way, where Sing dollars moving into TD Ameritrade will automatically be converted into US dollars. But don't worry, the rates are pretty fair from my experience. The other two options are a wire transfer or a check, and that's not really the preferred option, but is your only option if you happen to be transferring money from Malaysia or maybe another country. So as your money is being transferred in, by this time you should begin to download the Thinkorswim desktop portal as well as the mobile app. The reason why I'm focusing on the desktop program is that I think it's the most feature rich and it's really useful and quite intuitive after you get used to it. And once you've mastered that, I'd say that the rest of the platforms are really just super easy to get through. So as you're doing that, don't forget to hit that like button because that really tells the gods of YouTube to share this video out to more people. So when you're ready, open up the desktop program and log in and let's get started with setting it up. Welcome to the desktop portal of my Thinkorswim account. And as you can see, this is the default setting. So as soon as you launch the program, this is what you'll see. So let's start with the left side of the program. And I want to begin by minimizing some of these widgets because it's taking up a lot of space and it can be very overwhelming. So live news, trader TV, I'll leave the watch list open for now. In a quick chart, I'll reduce it as well. The next is I want to go up to the account info. And this is where you want to click this button, show actions menu, and customize gadget. So as you can see, there's a lot of information over here that's being displayed, from option buy power, net liquid and day trades, and so on and so forth. And you can see that the current set over here, there are many different features that are actually being ticked. So what I want to do is try and remove most of them. Now I'll explain why really quickly. So then you'll have just these two pieces of information which I think are important enough. I also want to explain the difference between cash and sweep vehicle and cash balance. So as you can see, one has an amount, the other has zero. So it can seem a bit alarming for those of you who've seen this for the very first time. Why is my cash zero, but how come I have money in cash and sweep vehicle? So that's a strange thing, right? So all you need to know is that the sweep vehicle, think of it as a sister account that helps you earn interest. And at the end of any trading day, if you happen to have any cash balance here, it will automatically be moved into the cash and sweep vehicle. So this amount actually reflects what real cash you have to trade. And that's why I don't bother to keep cash balance on display here. Using this one cash and sweep vehicle setting allows me to see what I really have. Next, I want to quickly explain what net liquid and day trades mean. So the amount over here simply means that whatever positions that you do have, if you were to sell it all off, this is the cash amount that you would have to trade with. Now there are a couple more tabs that I don't use, but I want to explain it because it might be potentially confusing. The first is available funds for trading. So let's have a quick look at that. Now if you're new to this, it might be a bit confusing because you're asking yourself like, why does my available funds for trading look so different than my net liquid trades as well as my cash and sweep vehicle? And the rationale is quite straightforward. This is actually the number that represents your cash as well as the margin available to you to trade. Now, because all my cash is used up in current positions, I actually only have $78 in cash. This currently represents available margin. Now you might be asking yourself, what is margin? Margin is simply the available money that you can borrow if you wanted to. Now, different brokers offer you different margin amounts, but for US-based brokers like TD, Ameritrade, the regulations cap it at about 50% of the purchase price, which is why the amount over here is roughly about there. Now, the reason why I brought this up is that I don't want you guys to accidentally start trading with this cash or this margin, thinking that it's actually part of your cash. It's not. It's really just money that you're borrowing from the broker. And currently, TD Ameritrade's rates are about 9+% per annum. And if you're new to the markets, that's why I would usually avoid this, which is why I'm choosing to remove this from the actual view. So it's actually easier to see right now what amounts I have if I liquidate all my holdings and what amount of cash that I have to literally trade. And the final thing that I wanted to bring up is the day trades left tab. And it's unlikely going to jump into aggressive day trading, but I want you to not be alarmed at seeing this number here, because you might be wondering like, why do I only have 3 trades? So day trades are simply defined as buying and selling a stock within the same day. So the US has a law that if you happen to do 3 day trades in the span of 5 days, you are recognized as what you call a pattern day trader. And this has additional account requirements, and as long as you're not doing this, you can choose to ignore it. Next, let's look at creating a watch list. And on the surface, it's pretty intuitive, but at the same time, there's quite a lot of information, because if you click on this tab here, you can see there's a whole lot of stuff. And to be honest, most of it I think is junk. Right now, the way I look at it is, let's try and look at creating a personal one. So the easiest thing is to really just start with creating a watch list itself. Add whatever you want to add. Let's call it Sunmin. Let's say you like Apple. Let's put Apple there. Say you like Google. You can put Google there. And if you like Amazon, AMZN, boom. So you've got 3 stocks here. You can add symbols. You can move them up and down. Up to you, really. And congratulations, you have a new watch list. And this is not my current one. I have a core watch list that's already existing. You can drag it up and down, and you can add more here very easily if you wanted to, or you can just remove it. Now that that's done, you might be wondering what's this weird number over here. So I'll get back to it in a bit. In the meantime, let's look at creating an alert. Now, to create an alert, it's really straightforward. All you need to do is right click over here, and you can see so many things open up, right? So let's start with creating that alert. Click on that. Boom, you've got all the information over here, and again, at a glance it might seem pretty intimidating, but don't worry, you can really ignore most of these things because at default it's enough. So if you're looking to buy, let's say this ETF called BPR, if it hits a certain price at or above or at or below, let's say I want to wait till, I don't know, maybe it hits $160. So once you do this, it's really just clicking create. If you wanted to put a note in, you could. But before that, you want to look at notify with. So as you can see, there are many ways to get a notification. So you can have a bell sound play, and this is when the app itself is open. You can have an email sent to you if you wanted to, or you could have a push notification sent to your mobile. So this one is really a personal preference and it's up to you. So don't worry about the rest of the settings, including these options over here. It's not really that important. So once you create it, boom, it goes somewhere, right? You're wondering like, hey, where did the alert go? It's actually under Market Watch. As you can see, there are alerts that have been created over here. So for me, to be honest, the thing that I have always on default is open is the charts tab. And that's what we're going to get into here. How do we kind of set up a basic chart? Now let me start by looking back at this little button over here, right? So as you can see, there's a button here saying number 2 and here saying number 1. So what happens when I start to do this? Straight away, you'll see that the information is displayed in a chart form on the right. Now, this is the default setting, which I think is just pretty ugly and there's just a lot of information over there. So what do I want to do is maybe just teach you very quickly how to make it cleaner. So now that you've clicked on settings, as you can see, there's quite a lot of information over here. So to clean things up, I want to start by going to time axis and removing all this from display. So rollover lines, expiration Friday, showing year marking lines, I'm not sure if that's super useful and I'd rather have them removed for just clarity. The next thing I wanted to show you was that, say you've got Google opened up on the chart over here rather than the ETF that I showed you earlier. So if you go back to settings, you see that there are these things over here. Now I again personally find that a bit distracting, so I'll usually have to clean that up. Go to equities, remove corporate action so that disappears. If you wanted to, you can begin to include studies. For example, if you wanted to include a momentum study like the RSI, or if you happen to like moving averages, and these are the ones that I personally use at least. Just to give you an example. So as you can see, very quickly things begin to get very cluttered. Another thing that I like to do is to kind of get rid of this volume over here and see, here's what you can do. You click on settings, you go to the overlap volume, you take this, boom. Suddenly the volume appears here instead and it looks like a much neater chart setting overall. And this brings us to the final section, which is making a trade. Now as you can see, there's so much information here, but it's actually very easy to make a trade. So as you can see, my mouse is hovering over it already. There's a sell and there's a buy. If I wanted to, just click, it opens up an order over here. Another alternative is that I right click it. I can also see the same thing. Go to buy. So the order will be lined up over here for me to see. Now let's go back down here to look at all these little settings. So as you can see, if you initiated a buy earlier, there are these little value units over here. If you click on them, it changes the nature of what is it. But by default, it's the number of units. And for those of us in Singapore or Malaysia, this again, if it's your first time, might be a bit surprising because this literally means one stock or one share. And it might be different because if you happen to be trading from Malaysia or Singapore from before, we tend to think in lots. Number of shares in a single lot, but this is just one share. The next important things to note are the price and order over here. So let me start with the two orders types that I think you really should know, beginning with actually the market order. Now the market order is important when you want to make a trade that's guaranteed, meaning that the order will be executed. So when the market is open and you initiate a trade with a market order, no matter what the price is, you'll get filled in the best possible price and things will move on. The con is that you might end up paying a little bit more if the prices are moving very quickly. The next type of order, which was the default, was the limit order. And the limit order basically tries to guarantee you the price that is going to be executed in. So the con of that is that if prices are moving too quickly, or maybe the price is very far from where you wanted it to be, the order might not be executed at all. The trade will only be executed if the price limit that you have set is met. The next tab that you'll see is this TIF thing, which stands for time in force. That means that whatever your order is, if it's a day, meaning that the order will last as long as the trading day, and at the end of it, it will be automatically cancelled. If you wanted that order to be there until it is triggered by the market or you manually cancelling it, you would choose this thing called good to cancel. Once you're ready to make the trade and you're really happy with all the settings here, all you needed to do is say, yep, confirm and send, and boom, you got it done. Congratulations, it is your very first trade. So now that we're done with the Thinkorswim desktop program, very quickly I just wanted to show you the web portal. Now it's okay, I personally don't really like it because I think the functionality is a little finicky, but essentially the information and the layout is actually quite similar, so you won't really get lost over here. And that brings us to the mobile app, and it's fairly straightforward, so I won't spend too much time here. The settings, as you can see under balances, have transferred. It's the two same tabs which are used. Your watch list is here. You launch it up, you'll see all the information. Say you click on ARC, and if you wanted to, you can buy it or sell it from the screen here. If you clicked on buy, the one thing I want to highlight is that you can see the default quantity over here is 100. So just be mindful if you happen to be making transactions. The default quantity in the desktop version for some reason is 1. So be mindful for that. The rest of the settings are the same settings. Looks a little bit different, but it's really the same thing. If you wanted to, you can also create alerts from here. So again, pretty straightforward. And if you wanted to add to your watch list, you can do that over here by adding symbols. And the rest of it is pretty much the same. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any other questions about the platform, please feel free to leave it in the comments below and I'll get to it. And if you got value out of this video, I would really appreciate your support in clicking that like, subscribe, as well as that bell button, because I'll be back again next Sunday with a brand new video. And until then, you take care and keep playing your own game.